So I've actually come to check out Bodie, California. Bodie is one of the last preserved ghost towns in the country. Back in 1849, after the gold rush had pretty much run its course on the Western Sierras, they moved over to the Eastern Sierras to mine this area. Bodie is the result of that. Unfortunately, the guy who started it, Mr. Bodie, died in a blizzard, wasn't able to see the town that they ended up naming after him years later. So let's go check it out. So even back in Bodie, back in 1849, they still had alleyways, and I can only imagine back in 1849 there was no LGBTQ community, there was no properly acceptance of it, much like it's rapidly becoming today. So I would imagine back in 1849, places like these would actually be, or could actually have been, meeting places for people looking for a nice and easy, quick romp. So one of the things that we always see in movies and TV shows when it comes to towns in the 1800s were the town wells. I've always was curious and interested in checking it out, and here we actually have one. So if you come up and look down inside, you can actually see that there's actually a well down there. I thought that's always been pretty interesting. Let's continue on. There's next stop I want to go to is a popular place in, seems like periods like this, the morgue. So here we are at the Bodie morgue, clearly one of the more popular, most frequented locations in a town like this back in the 1800s, with all the gunfights and people dying from various diseases and horrible winters and things like that. What's interesting about this is if you come up to the window, it's actually preserved pretty well. There's still a lot of the same things there. That is a bone that is decaying. I don't know what type of bone. A little unnerving. You come around to the side, and it actually says it in the guide as well. You can actually see there's caskets left in. I don't know if you can see from the inside there. There's actual caskets that were left in. They said were probably moved over from after the Bodie hotel fire, and they moved it over here to the morgue to preserve it and possibly for put them to good use. So one thing's clear after being here for about an hour is the drama didn't start in our generation. It started hundreds of years before. So there was this miner who was caught sleeping with another guy's sister. They caught him, put him in jail. A group called the 601, kind of vigilantes, they broke him out of jail, and they were going to kill him because evidently the sisters, the girl he was sleeping with, her brother was part of the 601. Well, then they caught him, police caught him and put him back in jail again. And anyway, right here, right where I'm standing, they actually brought him out here and hung him right at the corner of these two streets. So in it was 1881 that they actually hung him. So he probably ended up in the morgue just a couple of buildings down.